What is going on, guys? Jack here and welcome to episode 93 of The Road to Glory, here with FC United of Manchester. Hopefully you guys are good. Since the last episode, it has been a while. This year is very much a transitional year for the club. Originally I wanted to get in the UEFA Cup, however, as things have turned out, it's not going to happen. For that reason, I've just taken a bigger gap between each episode. We have a very young squad. It's very much a squad being developed, and for that reason there isn't too much exciting going on. So you'll notice it is the 10th of March, so Regen Day is coming up soon, so hopefully I can add a bit more to the academy, a bit more to the reserves in terms of players. Speaking of which, a few transfers to tell you about that went on during January, a few that I'm very, very excited about. So on the outs, as you saw, there was a few players who we'd already talked a bit about in the previous episode. The likes of Wim Kirchkov going for 8.5 million, Zorak for 14.5 mil. Hamuche went out in January to CSK Moscow for 2.6 million, and then a number of players of the younger kind of variety going out on loan. And last but not least, Sabatini, the goalkeeper, third choice keeper, he's gone to Southampton. Hopefully he'll get some first team football there. Looking at our squad, 3 players to tell you about in January, totalling £24 million. Certainly a transfer window in which I flexed my muscles yet again. Pretty much spent all the money that I got through the various transfers across the windows, and again building for the future. So looking at the squad, these players, of course, a number of them you've already seen before, but Alexandre Roger, this guy, he's a centre back, but to be honest, I'm kind of favouring him to maybe be a ball winning midfielder just because of that creativity that he does have. Again, he is 16, so plenty of time for him to develop and kind of up his game. One under 21 cap as well, which is insane. He came in for 7.5 million. Along with him we have Jean-Christophe Perriard, who I still tip to be one of the best strikers in the world in 4 or 5 years, really. I think by the age of 21 he'll be the Premier League's leading goal scorer. This guy, fantastically talented. He's got 16 finishing, 15 composure, 15 off the ball. Solid stats all the way around. 19 determination, obviously an incredibly important stat. 4 appearances for the first team in 3 months. 7.15 average rating. Obviously, he's still young, time to develop, but very, very excited by him. And last but not least, the third player of this kind of French invasion, Marc Cohen. He's stolen his hair from David Luiz, but looking at him, he's 17, he's just turned 17, fantastic wide player, unbelievable talent, great pace, great technical ability, good creativity, and because of Checo being injured in the first team of late, it's given him a good opportunity kind of for a run out. Looking at our squad, a few players to tell you about on the injury front. Garfield Thompson, Sampram, Pavlenko. Obviously this has meant that Josimar has been kind of recalled to play back in goal, which is good for him, I suppose. But we are kind of pretty depleted in the grand scheme of things, and I've realised I don't have a player for my new tactic, so I'm going to be playing... Oh, okay, I'm not going to be playing Rico Francis, one of the hot prospects. I don't have a defensive midfielder. Gordon Doyle. Big old Gordon Doyle went on loan to Leeds. You, sir, are going to be making a senior debut today against Manchester United. How do you feel? So, as you may have noticed if you are really observant, I mentioned a tactical change, and I am experimenting. Obviously, this year, as I've said, I'm not completely out of the woods for UEFA Cup, but at the same time it's looking increasingly unlikely, and for that reason it's given me an opportunity to develop players, give players who wouldn't normally be in the first team football, but also work on tactics. And here I have my latest creation, this monstrosity. Basically, you'll notice there's one centre-back. The idea behind it being that when we are defending, one of these anchormen drops to become a centre-back and the other one pushes forward to become a 4. So we're basically a 4-4-2 when we're defending, although this can become a 5-3-2 if both anchormen track men back, or it can become a 3-5-2 when we don't have the ball, when both these guys push forward. But basically this formation is very flexible. You shouldn't let the fact that these players are anchormen really elude you, because I have changed a lot of the players' individual instructions for a number of these positions, including the wide men and stuff. to really make this formation work. But basically these wing backs will tuck in as well. It's a very much something that I'm just experimenting with. I've always wanted to create a tactic that kind of utilises 2 anchor men but still offers something going forward. This tactic basically, it's a 4-4-2 when we don't have the ball, a 3-5-2 when we do have the ball, and it has a lot of attacking presence and very much allows us to kind of play our own game. This is going to be a real test for this tactic coming up against Man U. The only previous game I tested it in was against Fulham. We'd actually already lost to Fulham just a few days before in the FA Cup 5th round, which was a little bit disappointing. But we got a 2-2 draw using this new tactic, and I'm going to be interested to see how it serves us today away at Old Trafford. It's not going to be easy. Looking at our overall form since the Man City game, pretty much mid-table as you'd expect. Only even 2 league wins in that time coming against Stoke and Southampton. A lot of these games against other mid-table teams, the only team that maybe we could have won against was Spurs. But I mean, looking at the fixtures in general, 2 losses in the league, 2 wins in the league, and 4 draws. So, 10 more games played. More kind of same old mid-table form. Looking at the league, we are in 10th. We do have a game in hand on a few of the teams ahead of us, which if we were to win would see us climb to 8th, with the potential if we win our other game moving to 7th. But realistically, UEFA Cup football is kind of slipping away, so unless we can pull out some real results, it's going to be tough for us to qualify for the Europa Cup. But anyway, let's crack on straight into today's game. It's going to be a tough one against Manchester United. It's going to be a test for our new tactic, but hopefully we can come good. It's going to be a test for Gordon Doyle as well, the 17-year-old Scottish player. He's an under-21s international, so he does know what he's doing. But today, against Old Trafford, very much a different beast, I guess, to contend with. So nobody expects us to get a result. I am going to set up to play on counter, and I'm going to go slightly more balanced than I normally have been with this tactic, just because we are away to Man U. It's going to be interesting to see how this tactic kind of works in our favour. So, as I said, it is a 3 at the back, and there are a few problems with this tactic, which I'm in the process of kind of ironing out. I was tempted to kind of maybe do a video in depth on this tactic and kind of talk about my changes that I make to it over time, a bit like a little diary of it. If you'd like to see something like that, maybe with some graphics showing kind of the problems that I face, it's certainly something I can look to kind of implement. But we have a chance here. Perriard losing the ball though, and maybe a chance for them to counter us now. You'll see there is a real problem with this tactic, and it's something I'm trying to kind of work out, and it's basically getting one of the anchormen when we don't have the ball to really properly drop back as a centre back, because like then you may have noticed Gauthier, he didn't have the ball. When we didn't have the ball, there were 2 forwards, Vieira and the other forward, and he went to the man who had the ball. And the problem being was that in that situation, I'd kind of let the anchor man to take on the role and kind of cover the free striker. Like here, that's the textbook example. Gauthier, the lone centre-back, even though he's pressing set to absolutely minimum, he runs to the striker with the ball. The other striker just peels off. There's a big kind of gap on the onside. Really, all it takes is for one of these this anchorman here, I'm not sure who it was, to get goal side of Vieira and become kind of that second centre-back when we don't have the ball, and this formation could really work. But it's a problem that I'm facing. Obviously, as I said, this has only been tested in a handful of games, so I really don't know how it's going to work for us. It's going to be an interesting one, I think. One of those kind of moments in FM where I'm trying something completely different. If it doesn't work, I go back to the drawing board and I'll just note to self, never play 3 anchormen ever again. But for the time being, I'm going to stick with it for at least the next few games, see if it can lead anywhere. Because at the moment, I kind of feel like it does have potential. It really does. Not so much in the defensive element, but in terms of the way the 2 anchormen interact with each other and kind of move and around the field. They take it in turns to sit back, and then when we don't have the ball, we are able to kind of outnumber people. And with the sheer amount of players we have back at times, it cuts off all passing routes of the opposition. And one thing that I've noticed with this tactic is that the opposition players really don't pass the ball that much because they haven't got that many options, and for that reason we end up with a really high tackle completion ratio, in the high 90s in games. I've had and I think it was 96% pass tackle tackles won against Wolves against Fulham because they didn't have any options, and it's the exact same here. 93 tackling percentage against Man U really shows how when we don't have the ball, we cut off a lot of the options that their players have, kind of in terms of passes, and they panic on the ball, and then we're able to get the ball just like there. You know, we had their players completely man-marked with the sheer amount of midfielders, and now we hit on the counter. Ball's in. Can we bury that? We can. Bokar grabs the goal to make it 1-1, and we move into 9th. Superb bit of play there, well worked in the end, and that is a fantastic little goal. Bit of a scramble going on in the box, but Bokal, it drops to his feet. He's going to bury it. 46 seconds into the second half, we grab a goal. Superb stuff. So this tactic, as I've said, it's experimental. Obviously, if you have any feedback with regard to this tactic, let me know. And let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a guide to this tactic. That was offside. That was offside, but that was the problem there, whereby the lone centre-back goes up to one of the strikers. The other strikers just left scot-free as far as they're concerned. A little bit fortunate to get away with that. It's tough, though. It's tough. You know, we're away to Man U here. Not really expected to get a result, but at the moment players are playing pretty well, and it's that problem with the tracking, man. It's a big problem. Against Fulham it wasn't so big, but you can see there, if we watch this, Gauthier goes to the guy with the ball, as he should, but the anchor man there, whoever that is, you sir, the arrow's pointing at you, you should be goal side. That is textbook stuff. I don't know if there's going to be a way I can actually do this within FM. I don't know if it's going to be tactically possible, because I am really trying to experiment with trying to get the anchorman midfielder to get goal side, but Perriard, he does not give a crap. That was a terrible back pass by Gerrard there for them. That isn't the Steven Gerrard. It's a regen, but nevertheless, absolutely terrible mistake. But you could see there how we had every one of their men man-marked. He had no option, so he had to go back to his keeper, and then we just pressed up the field with our remaining players, get the ball there and score. So, good little bit of play by us there. And I do feel like, honestly, this tactic does have some potential. I can't stress it enough. The tactic has just taken over today's talking, guys. I could talk about stuff like the fact I had a haircut today, but that really isn't that interesting. This is FM. You guys want to hear me ramble about football tactics and stuff. But no, let's see how we get on here. Again, you can see how we're cutting out the play well, but then Fierro's just left free goal side, and he misses that. Would have been his hat-trick. Unlucky Fierro, son. You are terrible. Okay, I'm just looking for this game to be seen out now. Oh, quick little apology. Hopefully they don't score here. Sorry that this video is going up so late. Sub boxes have been broken on YouTube, so if you've not caught any of my videos this week, there have been videos going up daily, and blame YouTube, and Fierro scores his hat-trick. Oh, I hate you so much, Carlos. I hate you. I hate you. I don't like you very much, mate. Oh, that's a little bit annoying, but fair play. Man U have completely dominated us. We are at Old Trafford. 3-2 is not actually that bad of a result, but with 6 minutes left, I am going to go slightly more attackingly, see if we can grab something. As I said though, guys, sorry for this video being up late. If you've missed any of my videos earlier on or during this week, there have been videos going up every day, and it's just YouTube glitching out. So go over to the channel and check those out if you haven't. Also, there is the Friday night football stream going on. Basically, if you don't know what that is, me and a few other FM YouTubers and streamers go on Twitch TV, and we do a live stream till late into the night every Friday. So I'll probably be there for at least some point of it, but if you want to check that out, I'll also leave a link to that in the description. But that was a really poor performance in the end. Really disappointing stuff. But I'm kind of glad to see the tactics semi-work. I know we got absolutely dominated off the park, but the two kind of goals we did score came as a result of kind of the plus points that I see with the system I'm trying to implement. So maybe kind of something to take away from that game. Obviously, the league form's been a bit hit and miss. And it's not been great, but mid-table is looking like it's where we're going to be. I've only just held a team meeting, so I'm not going to be doing another one. But all in all, morale's high. People are optimistic about their future at the club, and we do have a really, really young squad. I mean, look at those potential abilities. It says it all, really. Other good news is that Bokal signed a new contract till 2028 without asking for the ridiculous wage hike that I was worried he was going to ask for, which is good to see. So he's tied down for a few more years. And there's a few players to tell you about in terms of Bosmans, which I've actually completely forgotten about. So I actually have two really young Argentines I'll just remind you guys about, who haven't been scouted in a very long time. But here we have Alejandro Monti, and we have Augusto Monslavo, who's also been forgotten about. Let's get scout reports on you two guys, because I kind of forgot these guys were coming. But the two other players, these guys aren't related, but they are from the same country and have the same name. We'll call them the Alfredo twins. Two guys who I very much feel are going to be a big part of the future of the club. Here we have Alfredo, defensive twin. This guy, really solid young centre-back. Ironically, he comes from Real Madrid's kind of second choice side. He was forced out of the first team last season, and I'm going to put that down to Jorge Benitez, my former player, going there, and obviously him being kind of extradited to the reserves. So I've managed to grab him on a Bosman, which is a great little signing for us, fantastic young defender. And the other player is Alfredo, number 2, the striker, 27 years old, coming from Villarreal. This guy's superb. I'm looking forward to having him here. As you can see, he has very low wages. He is going to get a big hike when he comes to us, but I fought off the likes of Barcelona for this guy's name, and I think he's going to be a really good signing for us in the future. He's had a lot of big scoring seasons across the years as well, which is a good thing to see. And all kind of round, he's a bit of a boss, and he's also a bit of experience, which we kind of lack in our team. I'm trying to get in a few older players because, I mean, you look at our squad, it's got great potential, but I need to start building a squad that's going to be good now, and hopefully that guy is going to be a big part of that. I'm actually going to just advance a few days and get the scout reports in for those two for the two Argentines for you, because those players were kind of arranged like 2 or 3 years ago, so they're a long way away. But as you can see, both players are very highly rated, and they're already on their way over to us in the future. So here we have Monty. He's only 16. His birthday's near the end of this month, but fantastic little youth player for the future. 21 under 20 caps for Argentina at the age of 16 says it all, really. And the other player, Monslavo, good little 18-year-old striker, bit of potential about him. Looking forward to having him at the club. So a few players to really look forward to. But that is pretty much it, guys. Next episode will probably be the last game of the season against Man City, just because, as I've said, there's not a lot to play for here, and it's going to be a lot of tactical tinkering. So remember to leave any feedback you have on the tactics down below. Tune into Friday Night Football. Sorry this video's up so late. Go over to my channel and check the videos if you've missed them earlier on in the week. And other than that, guys, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.